Breaking news! Something strange is happening in Baltimore, and it's time we talk about it. There's a player on this Ravens roster who's averaging over 6 yards per carry, exploding for 20-plus yard runs, and flashing game-breaking potential every time he touches the ball, and yet, he's barely playing. The numbers don't lie. The film doesn't lie. But for weeks, he's been hidden behind excuses, sidelined in silence, and buried under the weight of questionable decisions from the coaching staff. Why? What are the Ravens waiting for? And could this quiet storm be the spark that flips the entire AFC playoff picture? But before we dive into all of that, do me a favor, if you're a real Ravens fan and you want to see this team playing deep into January, hit that like button right now. It helps more than you know. And while you're at it, drop a comment, unleash the speed, if you believe it's time to set this weapon loose. Let's dive straight into it. For Ravens fans who followed every snap, every substitution, and every mysterious inactive list this season, the name Keaton Mitchell has stirred more frustration than almost any other. Here's a guy who lit it up in preseason. Remember that electric Week 1 performance against the Colts? It looked like Mitchell was back, fast, elusive, and hungry. A spark plug that could add a new dynamic to an already dangerous offense. And then, silence. Week 1, healthy scratch. Week 2, same. Weeks 3 and 4, still nothing. It wasn't until week 5 that Mitchell finally saw the field for just 3 snaps. Week 6, 0. By week followed, obviously no action. In the first 7 weeks of the season, Keaton Mitchell had touched the field for just 3 snaps total. But then things slowly started to change. Post-bye, the snap counts crept up. 5 against the Bears, 6 in week 9, 5 more in week 10. A grand total of just 19 snaps since returning. But what's he done with them? 15 carries for 93 yards. That's a ridiculous 6.2 yards per carry. 2 runs over 20 yards. He's not just getting touches, he's making magic happen. So why in the world has he been so underutilized? Head coach John Harbaugh finally broke the silence. In a statement that seemed part apology, part justification, he explained that the staff was intentional about their approach with Mitchell, wanting to increase his usage, but for whatever reason, we didn't get to it. He added that it's hard to pull snaps away from Derrick Henry, and suggested Mitchell was just getting his sea legs back after a long injury layoff. And while those points might hold some truth, they also ring hollow when you remember just how dynamic Mitchell looked in the preseason. Fans didn't need to see more than a few touches to know this guy brings something different to the table: explosiveness, agility, and vision that stands out even next to a legend like Henry. That 6.2 YPC isn't a fluke. It's a cry for more touches. Mitchell's story has been a roller coaster. Signed as an undrafted free agent out of ECU, he surprised everyone as a rookie until a torn ACL in Week 15 against Jacksonville ended his year. He was placed on the PUP list the following summer and didn't see game action again until November 3rd. And when he did, it looked like he wasn't quite ready, hesitant, not as explosive, maybe still fighting through the mental side of recovery. But now, it's a different story. This version of Keaton Mitchell looks ready, and fans can feel it. There were even rumors swirling before the trade deadline that Mitchell could be dealt, whispers from outlets like ESPN and CBS suggesting the Ravens were showcasing him. When he started getting more touches against Chicago, it felt suspicious. Were they fattening the pig for market? Thankfully, that trade never happened. Mitchell stayed, and it might just turn out to be one of the best non-moves of the year for Baltimore. Still, it's clear he won't be RB1 as long as Derrick Henry is healthy, and that's perfectly fine. But there's absolutely room for a 1-2 punch. Think of how Detroit uses Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, a thunder and lightning backfield that keeps defenses guessing and wearied. There's no reason Baltimore can't build something similar. The idea of Mitchell picking up 8 to 12 carries per game isn't just realistic, it's necessary, especially considering Justice Hill's uncertainty due to injury and his limited role as a pure runner. Mitchell's style fits Baltimore's current offensive line issues too, with minimal yardage gained before contact behind blockers like Daniel Falale and Andrew Voorhees. A back with Mitchell's quickness and shiftiness becomes even more valuable. He's capable of making defenders miss, slipping through tiny gaps, and turning nothing into something. That kind of skill set could be crucial down the stretch. And let's not forget the long game here. Giving Henry a lighter load, especially against softer defenses, isn't just about spreading the ball. It's about keeping your workhorse fresh for the games that truly matter in January. A rejuvenated Derrick Henry, paired with a lightning bolt like Keaton Mitchell, could be a nightmare scenario for playoff defenses. Let's keep this momentum going. If the Ravens are truly serious about maximizing their offense heading into the most critical stretch of the season, it's not just about handing the ball to Keaton Mitchell more often. It's about rethinking how this offense functions at its core, and that starts with personnel. Because while Mitchell is absolutely the breakout star waiting to happen, there are some glaring issues on this roster that can no longer be ignored. Let's begin with the offensive line, specifically Daniel Falele. Now, this might not be the most comfortable conversation for the front office or coaching staff, but the truth is the tape doesn't lie. Falele has consistently struggled in pass protection, and it's becoming a genuine liability. Case in point, that snap against Minnesota. At first glance, he looked to be in good position against Dallas Turner. But one quick rib move, and Falele was off balance, leaning forward, arms outstretched, completely beat. The result? Lamar Jackson got blindsided and drilled into the turf. And let's be honest, the only reason that didn't end in disaster was a flag for unnecessary roughness. But the damage could have been much worse. This isn't a one-off. This is a pattern. If the Ravens want Lamar healthy for a playoff run, they need to stop gambling with subpar protection on the right side. Which brings us to Emory Jones Jr. Jones has only just returned to practicing NFL-level pass pro after his shoulder injury, so it's understandable that the coaches are being cautious. But if there's any chance he's ready to go by December, that's when you make the move. That's when you let a fresh, powerful, athletic lineman take over and protect your franchise quarterback. Because if Falele stays on that line deep into December and January, it's not a matter of if, but when, something goes horribly wrong. And frankly, nobody wants to watch Lamar Jackson picking himself up off the turf because a lineman missed another assignment. And speaking of maximizing offensive potential, there's another name we have to talk about, Charlie Kolar. Now, on paper, 7 catches for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns might not jump off the stat sheet. But dig a little deeper, and you see the real value. Kolar has quietly become one of the most reliable red zone options on the roster. He's averaging a touchdown every 3.5 catches. That's not just efficiency, that's surgical precision. And what makes it even more intriguing is the contract situation. All 3 of the Ravens' top tight ends, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kolar, are entering the final year of their deals. There are whispers that Likely is the most probable to be franchise tagged, which makes sense. But what about Andrews? Is it time to move on from one of the most productive tight ends in franchise history? That's a conversation for another day. What matters right now is that Kolar has proven he deserves a role in this offense, not just as a blocker, but as a versatile piece who can step up when needed. He's respected in the locker room, he's mentally sharp, and he's showing flashes of being a long-term piece of this puzzle. If you keep Likely and Kolar, that's a dangerous 1-2 punch at tight end for the foreseeable future. Likely as your vertical, pass-catching threat. Kolar as your do-it-all utility guy. That's smart roster management, and that's how you build depth in today's NFL. But that brings us full circle back to Keaton Mitchell. Because for all the pieces to come together, a rejuvenated offensive line, a smart tight end rotation, a healthier Derrick Henry, the X factor still feels like Mitchell. His speed, his shiftiness, his ability to turn busted plays into highlight reels. He doesn't just fit in this offense, he elevates it. And if the Ravens want to be more than just a playoff team, if they want to be a Super Bowl contender, they need to start using their weapons more intelligently. Imagine this, it's January. The Ravens are facing off against the top AFC rival. Defenses are worn down. The weather's brutal. Who do you want taking those outside handoffs? Who's more likely to turn a second and long into a first down in one cut? That's Keaton Mitchell. And using him more now isn't about sending a message, it's about getting him ready for when it matters most. Load management for Derrick Henry isn't disrespect, it's strategy. Keeping your 30-year-old workhorse fresh while unleashing a younger, hungrier back is how good teams become great teams. And let's not kid ourselves, Baltimore is right there. The margin between the top